we can be so successful. Yeah, but if your team is not connected and if you do not have that like vibration that runs through your company, it'll be very challenging to reach the level of success. And I don't just mean money, I mean true success if you don't have all those things locked in.
It's Tamara Thompson, and I'm here with my co-host, Danielle.
Hey, everybody.
And we're here with Women Unlocking Wealth. It's one of our shows brought to you by Broadcaster Authority. And I'm super excited and grateful for our next guest, Carrie Cardozo. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. No, we've gotten to know each other. I feel, well, the last few times we've been able to see each other and have some deep conversations off camera, but also on camera with other shows. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed just our conversations and our connections and learning more about you and your success. And a lot of the conversations that come up is really about how we all want to help empower more women. And this show has really been about, having conversations with women that, have built success and they've hit rock bottom in different things and allowed changes to come in, because we talk a lot about how, a lot of women, over 1.9% of women really don't even hit their 7 figures. And that's one of the things that we want to have conversations truly and deep about. And, one of the things that resonated with me is when you were sharing a little bit more about a story that you had where you were basically running somebody else's company and you put so much heart and soul and thought into it. And, you built success with this company. But then there was so much more that happened from there that then evolved into what you're doing now.
Yes.
Would you share a little bit about that story?
I will. So my story actually starts, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And it was one of the best 10 years of my life, but I ended up getting a divorce and having to get a job. And actually, one of the things, I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family and helping my mom has a company and I've helped her run it, had to work in it. And then even when I stayed home with my children, I did one of those MLM things. And in less than a year, I had hit almost $80,000. Wow. But then it was taken away very quickly because of the rules of the scheme, whatever it was. So when I got divorced, I went to work full time. It was probably the first time I've ever had a full-time job. And I went to help this entrepreneur really build and expand his already in place companies. And when I joined him, his companies were doing about 4 to 5 million. And in the 3.5 years that we worked together, almost 4, we got it up to about $16 million. And, there was a lot of employees, a lot of things going on. It was a beautiful company. And I was so dedicated. I loved my job. I loved it. I had freedom, but I also had this amazing feeling of success. Mm-hmm. And the women and the men who worked underneath me, they were amazing. But unfortunately, a tragedy happened inside the offices, and those offices very quickly started crumbling. Mm-hmm. And in less than, 4 months, 5 months, lots of us didn't have a job. And it was even though it wasn't my business, I really did feel like it was mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to walk away from something that I had really dedicated so much of my time and energy, I really cared about. I was focused on seeing it grow. We had all these plans. We were going to acquire another business. To have it just all taken away was very hard. And I had vowed to myself, I would never do that again. I would never give so much of my time and energy and passion to someone else's business that they could just take it away in a second, or based on their choices and the things that they did, they could bury it in such a short amount of time. And I had no say in it. Even though technically I ran everything, I didn't have a say in what happened. And it was very challenging for me.
My question is, so what were the big differences that you saw from going from 4 mil to 16 mil?
I think it was a lot of the way that we structured the company and also the leadership. so the way that I build a business and work with people, I really did manage everybody. And I will tell you, some of those women in the office are the women who are closest to me in this life still to this day. And that was 11 years ago when I left, when it all collapsed. And it was really about getting in alignment with what it is that we were selling and promoting, building the team and the structure behind it that would support it. And they also believed in the mission, incentivizing people, really speaking to them and helping them where they saw value too. And it's one of the things that I really do pride myself on. I recently bought another company. And,
I'm excited to share about that.
Yeah.
A little bit too.
And I have employees there and they were like, we have never had a boss like you. Ever. And one of my things
is a compliment.
Yeah, such a compliment in a complimentary way. And they were like, we've never had the freedom to make decisions and choices. We've never been seen and valued the way that you are. We've never felt so open to be able to like be ourselves and chat with you. And like, I'm just a normal person. Even if I'm your boss, we all do our jobs. We're good. We can have fun. We can chat. We can be honest. Like, I'm here. It's my first time being away. And one of my girls is like, I miss you. We're doing great, but I miss you. And that's what I like to build. Like, we can be so successful. Yeah. But if your team is not connected and if you do not have that like vibration that runs through your company, it'll be very challenging to reach the level of success. And I don't just mean money. I mean true success if you don't have all those things locked in.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like when I was in corporate and I managed a team of 55. And you had to have a specific culture.
Yeah.
And when I decided to quit corporate, like a lot of them were crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to go run my own business. But yeah, it was sad. But you took that piece and you applied it to your own business.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did. And to start, I didn't have team on my company to start. But I really did look at what I wanted to create because it wasn't just for the employees that we created such an atmosphere. It was also for the clients. And it was for, in that case, and the patients that we had. And I really looked at why people were so loyal to our company, why people spent a decent amount of money in our company at one shot, and how I needed to show up in my business in order to be able to have that level of success and level of growth as well when I was starting my own business. But I'll tell you what, it was not easy. You know, one of the things that I loved, I think one of the reasons that I became so close with those women is I lost my fiance while I worked there. And those people, not just the women, and there weren't a lot of men. That's why I keep saying women. There was like, three or four men that worked there. But the women, they're the ones that picked me up and supported me through that time. Even though they worked for me, I was their boss. They were hands down the people that helped me to make it through that time. But when you go off on your own, you don't have that. You don't have that support. You don't have that camaraderie. You don't have that like belief, like people, you don't have that team. It was just me. And I was in that space of like, oh my God, what do I do and how do I do this? Even though I had been doing it for years. It was very challenging for me.
It was the same experience for me. Like I said in another podcast, I was just like scrolling Facebook, trying to figure out what to do. Like,
avoidance.
Because you don't have that interaction with all those people.
Yeah.
Like I had in operations, like I constantly had my employees come into me like every hour of the day.
Yes.
And,
more like
and then when I jumped into
period.
entrepreneurship, it was like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
You didn't have people constantly coming to you. You know, you're working remotely all of a sudden. So it was a different atmosphere. So, productivity changed. You didn't have, specific roles that you're like, oh, I was operations manager. Now what am I doing with building this company as an entrepreneur? So it's very different for you for that side. And it's okay.
Yeah. And no one being like, you have to deliver this on my desk by the end of the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, if I don't get it, my boss isn't going to be mad. I'm the boss. It doesn't matter.
Get off Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit. So, you're such an incredible woman. You have so much going on with your business because you have a couple of different businesses that you have. So when you left that business behind, what was the next step and what business did you step into from there?
Yeah. So when I left that behind, the really amazing thing is that I had offers on the table because I'd built one of the most successful multiple dental offices. I was in the dental industry. I didn't do dentistry, but I just built their offices. But I knew without a doubt that I was never going to work for somebody else again. Mm-hmm. But then that meant I had to build my own thing. Mm-hmm. And I took time, I really did. And I was really grateful for this. I took time to just focus on me. I was like, I have 6 months worth of expenses in the bank. I have $75,000 worth of, room for credit on credit cards. I am taking that time for myself, knowing full well that I still had to solely support myself, my lifestyle, and my 3 children. And I will tell you what, I did all the inner healing work that I needed to do. And I don't mean like there's always healing work. If you're breathing, there's healing work. But I really did focus on healing and alignment and really understanding what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. But when I first started, I was like, I'm going to consult for companies and I'm just going to go out there and consult. And one of the things that I did in my, in this huge bubble of shift in my life, right before the businesses collapsed, my fiance passed away. And that's when my abilities unlocked. Mm-hmm. And I was really struggling with this fact of, do I tell people I'm a psychic? Do I actually do psychic stuff? Or do I just go consult for companies? Because I can build any business. I can help run any company. And I kept going back and forth. But one of the things I kept hearing from my guides is tell people you're psychic. Tell people you're psychic. Well, I would tell you what, the first 15 months of my business started, it was terrible. It was terrible. I struggled. I didn't go online. So I was one of those people going door to door to companies, like introducing myself. And you want to say stress? I can remember pulling over one time because I was like, I'm going to vomit, because I have to go into this company and be like, hi, I'm Carrie Cardozo and this is what I do. And this is my company. And I struggled. There were months that I'd make like $1,000, $2,000. And I was just like, oh my God, my car payment alone is $700. Right. Like what am I doing? And, I remember my guides sitting down one time and my guides were like, you have to call yourself a psychic and you have to do psychic stuff. And the month that I was like, fine, that I called myself a psychic, I decided to do psychic stuff and I really leaned into who I was and what made me special and unique. I made $10,000. And I was like, if I had just done this 5 months before, 10 months before, and really the first, 8 months, I really was just doing healing work on myself. Mm-hmm. But it took me really saying and admitting, okay, I know I'm here for something special, not just to build businesses and not just to create wealth for myself, but to really be myself, be who I'm supposed to be, use my psychic abilities, be proud of it, really like grow this psychic business, not just any business. And it's only gone up from there. So.
And I mean, that just shows you what Women Unlocking Wealth is about. Like we are unlocking wealth
into their power. Like literally you stepped into their, like you had your guides literally like telling you, like saying like, you need to step into that confidence there. And once you did, it just unlocked,
it's like success. Unlocking wealth from the bottom up though. Like our story, we built our business from the ground up. So it's like there's like
most women do. I think
I totally relate to Carrie about the door to door because like we did cold emails. We did 400 cold emails and we would get clients from that. Like event clients because we did video production. And we would land and maybe you would get like door five, probably like 5 clients per every 400 emails. It was like rigorous.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't get a single client going door to door. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest with you. But what it did lead me to was meeting this guy who was like, oh my God, you have such an amazing story. Do you want to do a podcast with me? And I was like, sure.
You did door to door asking people if they needed a psychic?
No, I didn't. No. God, that would be weird. Imagine that. That's a whole nother business.
This is the corporation door to door consulting?
I did corporation consulting. Yes. Like, hey, team building, HR stuff, that kind of thing.
Vacuum sales door to door. No,
I am a psychic. Can I give you a reading?
You're like, I might have been better with Girl Scout cookies.
I could have brought him brownies, baked them brownies or something. But
maybe if you brought like Salem, like
I could or something. Yeah, I could have brought him something. But when I met this gentleman, he was like, I'm in the online space and I'm a coach and I'd love for you to be on a podcast. And I was like, podcast? Don't famous people have podcasts? Like, I'm not famous. I don't even have a business yet, But within like 2 months of doing a podcast with him, I was like, oh, I like this. I get to talk and share my story. And then he was like, it didn't make any money. I'm quitting. I was like, it's been 2 months. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm just squeaking by, you know? And so he really introduced me to the online space. And that's when everything took off, was when, and not right away, it's when I said I was psychic, that things really picked up. And I would tell you what, every single time my guides are like, you have to do this. You have to go bigger. You have to do this. You have to, you know, create this, say this. There's resistance, but then my business like takes off again. And it's really is because you're following what you're supposed to be doing. You're really in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, totally. No, I love that. Well, you've got, so you started, you helped build another company, you know, that closed down. Basically you went and you started building success with another company. Now you're in a new venture that you recently did. Can you share a little bit more about that venture and why did you step into that? Like what did you guys tell you to buy a coffee shop?
They kind of did. It was like, so
but you were thinking it was going to be a gem store.
Well, my whole life.
Both. Coffee and gym.
Well, we're redecorating. So maybe by the time this is out, the decorations will be done. The design will be done.
We'll come fly over and be a customer.
So one of the things that I do believe in is the thing that you absolutely love doing as a child is what you end up doing as an adult. And I'll share that. Like I can remember being a child and I was raised in the time when it was like, go outside. I don't care what you do, but you are outside all day long. And I can remember sitting in like, you know, the backyard and making mixtures and tinctures. And I was going to feed my kids and help people and all this kind of stuff. And I do that. Like I make tinctures. I'm a healer. I'm a psychic. Like I can remember being like, I'm a witch and I'm making things, you know? I don't know why I said that, but I did. But then the other thing was always like, I want to store and I want to sell things. And I think that's really beautiful. And I've always liked that. Like, you know, some days just like ringing something through a cash register, I'm like, this is easy versus all the things that we're doing. So, and I also love coffee and I love taking care of people. And I love baking things and cooking, and I love cooking for people that want to eat it. And last May, the coffee shop that I go to in my town, it's this quaint little, such a neighborhood coffee shop. The woman who runs it was like, oh, they're going to sell. She told it to me in the space of, hey, your coffee shop that you come to every day and spend a ton of money might be closed.
Like, hint, hint.
Yeah. But no, she had no idea that I was going to buy it. She was just like, hey, I just want to let you know we might not be here. And I was like, oh, interesting. And so I started doing my due diligence. I asked about it. I asked my guides. And I really was like, well, why? It has nothing to do with psychic stuff. But what it really does have to do with, and so I did all the due diligence. We had a lot of meetings and it took from May, from when I first was interested, all the way till December until the closing actually went through. But it is one of those things that I love serving and I love to be in that like soft girl era of like baking and sourdough bread and all this kind of stuff. But also it's to build more of like generational wealth, is to have a company and build this and really expand it for something where, whether it's for me to just, really expand this company or for my kids to step into or for them to have it. But I like to do a lot of different things. And I missed the aspect of like having a new business, growing it, having all these different ideas. And that has really fulfilled it, really fulfilled that aspect of, baking and relaxing, even though sometimes it's not that relaxing baking, but also really like taking a new business. And even though it's about 2.5 years old. So it is successful. It's got, customer base, but really, and bringing my energy to it and really expanding it out and creating different avenues for money to come in.
And I hear you make a killer pot pie.
I do. This gentleman who like,
true story.
His house manager came in and she's like, he has pot pies all over the world. He eats food all over the world. And he is like, this is the best pot pie I've ever had. And I'm thrilled because I do not, people are always like, where'd you learn to cook? I'm like, 24 years of being a mom is where I learned to cook. 24 years of being a mom, and just, I guess I use my intuition, but it's just love. Like I just put a lot of love into what I do.
When you stepped into purchasing the coffee shop, like, has it gone like how you expected, or did you run into anything that you're like, oh, like this isn't what I thought, or learn things even in just a quick time of that purchase? Yeah,
I learned a lot. I had to work through a lot. One of my biggest struggles, I think, and I think it's important to point out that even though we're super successful, we can have struggles. And one of my biggest struggles has always been everything is on my shoulders. I have 3 children. Everything is on my shoulders financially for them. I support our house. Literally anything in my life, I support. And now I'm taking on this other endeavor. And I had to do a lot of inner work around holding all of this responsibility, and especially financially. It was big for me. And I knew that it was going to be a big financial investment. Things didn't necessarily work out the way they were originally stated they would. I invested a lot more money at the beginning than I thought I would, and thought I was going to. But I didn't necessarily get the support from the owners, the past owners, the way that I thought I would. But I will tell you what, the team that I kept on, I would not be sitting here if the team that stayed with the coffee shop had left. They are absolutely freaking phenomenal. And although there was a lot of things I didn't expect, and of all the businesses I've ever consulted for or ran, it's never been a coffee shop or a restaurant. So I was like, I'm just jumping in cold feet. Like, we're just going. I have no idea. Yeah. But I'm just like, you know what? I love to learn. I love to experience new things. I'm a quick learn. I have psychic abilities. So it's really gone very smooth, considering that I purchased it at the Christmas time when people are coming in, and then I'm like, oh my God, our inventory is out again. Oh wow, where are we going to get this? And then, accounts were shut down because in the crossover, it wasn't handed over correctly. So at one point I was like, I need to order food, and they're like, you can't order. And I was like, oh no, cool. And I'm sitting in a tattoo shop getting a new tattoo. The vendor is telling me I can't place an order. And I hang up the phone and my daughter looks at me. She's like, what you going to do? I'm like, I'll always figure it out. Like, I always figure it out. And actually it's been a really big blessing because they didn't make a lot of stuff as much as we do now. So it forced me to be like, we have to make it. Like, we get to make it now. We have to just figure it out. Yeah. And it has drastically shifted our company, and for the better.
Blessing.
For the better. It is skyrocketed our revenues because we are keeping so much in-house now.
I love that.
Yeah. And the gentleman who was like, you can't place an order. It was over a month ago. I just placed my first order with him today. Wow. And he was like, you haven't placed an order in almost a month. And I was like, yeah, we keep everything in-house now. So it's been phenomenal.
I love that. Well, I love that. You helped build another company. You just bought this business as well. Can you share, with the audience a little bit more about the business on the side of the psychic realm side of it? And then after you share a little bit more about that, tell us what you're doing in 2025 with that and how people can connect with you as well.
Yeah. So I also have my psychic business, and my psychic business is one where it's dual aspect. So for one, I consult, I use my psychic abilities the same way I use my abilities to grow my own business or businesses. And I did with the $16 million company, even though I didn't know I was using my abilities. I do that for other people. So I'll sit down with them, I'll look at their business. And the minute I meet somebody, I can see where it's not in alignment, what they should be doing, how to change it, how to switch it, so cool. And what the trajectory of the business really gets to be. There's multiple timelines that the business can fall on. So this allows me to be able to see, hey, these are the possibilities. And sometimes there's a lot, and sometimes there's like, no, this business is supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Go do it. It can take off. But the other avenue of my business is really, my passion. And I think, one of the things that I switched into in 2024 was, instead of a business, I'm creating a movement. And I think that's super important. Yes. And one of my movement is that the future is psychic. And I believe that every single person is psychic, and you can use your psychic abilities in every single area of your life, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're an Fortune 500 company, it doesn't matter what you are, and everywhere in between. And the more that people start really accessing their psychic abilities, the more aligned, the more integrity filled, and the more impactful businesses are going to become. And that's really a passion of mine, is to be able to teach people how to really access those abilities and teach them how to use it in their business. So I'm not trying to create more psychics.
You're helping them unlock their wealth.
Correct. Helping them unlock their wealth, because when you're living your purpose, the money follows. It has to, 100%. Because you're in that energetic alignment. And so what I'm focusing on is 2025 is really getting that message out there that if you want to reach a whole new level of wealth in your business and in your life, you have to unlock your soul gifts. That's a huge part of it. You came here to be connected to the soul.
That should be a new show.
I know.
Unlocking your soul
gifts. When you're connected to your soul, those gifts have to happen. And when you use those gifts in your purpose, it's just like, it's magic.
It's like aligns.
The psychic within.
Well,
is even better name.
I was like, that one's taken.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, I know. Yeah. I mean, you have your incredible podcast as well. And you're starting a series too, because a lot of the content you do has been solo content, but you're going to be releasing some series episodes as well, which we're excited to see that. So definitely check out The Psychic Within. But how can people connect with you? Can you let them know to our audience too?
Yeah, absolutely. So on every social media platform, including YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok, you can find me at Carrie Cardozo, as well as carriecardozo.com. And the Psychic Within podcast is where you'll see and learn a lot more about me.
And where can we find your coffee shop?
Yeah. My coffee shop is in Litchfield, Connecticut. It is on the historic Litchfield Green. It's called Espresso 59. So, and we're redoing it, and we might bring some crystals in, and so
I think, yes, you should bring some crystals.
Yeah, we're going to bring some crystals.
I totally am just going to randomly show
We're just going to book a flight. It might not be a direct flight, but
it won't be a direct flight, but yes, you can show.
But we're going to make it out there. You know, next interview we do from the coffee shop
from
live.
The coffee shop. I know. I've thought of doing. Years ago, I used to do. Carrie coffee chats.
Oh, coffee chats.
And I was like, I could do Carrie channeling and coffee chats, so it's one of the things we've thought of.
So,
yeah.
I'm so well, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Just knowing us in general, we really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
And those of you that are watching, definitely connect with Carrie. She's doing amazing things. Fly out to her coffee shop for sure. Again, this is Women Unlocking Wealth, brought to you by Broadcast Your Authority. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all our channels, and we'll see you in the next episode.